Our story begins not with love, but with victory. The sun god Apollo, brilliant, golden-haired, his lyre slung across his back, had just slain Python, a monstrous serpent that plagued the sacred site of Delphi. With bow drawn and golden arrows alight with divine power, he stood over the vanquished beast like a hero of legend. His heart swelled not just with triumph, but with pride. Still basking in the triumph of his victory, Apollo caught sight of a figure approaching through the olive grove, the young god Eros, destined to be known as Cupid by the Romans. Eros appeared as a graceful young man, his form slender but sure, his presence both serene and unsettling. His wings, broad and luminous, stirred the air with a quiet rhythm. Slung over his shoulder was a quiver of arrows, each tipped with divine intent, and in his hand a golden bow that gleamed with ancient power. Though youthful in appearance, his gaze held a confidence that could unmake hearts with a single glance. Apollo chuckled, loud enough for the olive trees to hear. "And what have we here?" he called out, arms crossed in exaggerated amusement. "The mighty god of love himself, come to join me in celebrating my victory over Python?" Eros said nothing at first. He only looked up with a calm, almost serene expression. But behind that silence stirred something old and dangerous. Apollo's words had struck not a young god, but one of the most ancient and unpredictable forces in the cosmos, the god of love, of passion, of longing. As Ovid tells us, the bow is yours, Apollo, to strike down beasts, but mine shall strike your proud heart. And so Eros took flight. He soared to the heights of Mount Parnassus, far above Apollo's swagger and blinding pride. There, with a steady hand, he drew 2 arrows from his quiver, each forged not of mortal steel, but of pure intent. The first was golden and finely tipped. This arrow, when loosed, did not wound the flesh, but pierced the soul, igniting love so consuming it devoured all reason. Eros knocked it, aimed, and sent it sailing through the sky until it found its mark in Apollo's heart. A divine fire ignited within Apollo, stoking a wild, immediate infatuation. Then Cupid raised the second arrow, the leaden one, loosed it into the air, and let it fly toward Daphne. It struck Daphne unseen, yet its magic surged through her like a chill. In that instant, her heart recoiled from Apollo. What might have been intrigue turned instead to revulsion, as if the very idea of his touch repelled her to the core. Daphne was a naiad, a daughter of the river god Peneus. Beautiful, yes, but uninterested in love. A devotee of Artemis, goddess of the hunt, Daphne had taken a vow of virginity. She preferred the solitude of woods, the breath of wild things, and the silence of rivers. Daphne's life was one of motion. She ran through the forest barefoot, a bow on her back, herbs in her hands. In tales recorded by Parthenius of Nicaea, she had already rejected many suitors, mortal and divine alike. In one darker version, a mortal man named Leucippus dressed as a woman to be close to her. He infiltrated her hunting party, hiding his desire behind soft eyes and silence. But truth has a habit of surfacing. When his disguise was torn away, the nymphs, fierce protectors of Daphne, killed him without hesitation. This is the world Daphne lived in, one where refusal was her only defense. 2 arrows, 1 obsession, 1 revulsion. Apollo saw her across a clearing. She stood with sunlight on her shoulders, wildflowers in her arms. In that moment, Cupid's golden arrow burned bright. Apollo believed it was love. He had to have her. Not to dominate, he thought, but to possess. He stepped forward. She turned and fled, not out of shyness, not coyness, out of terror. Apollo called to her as he chased, "Stop, nymph! I am not your enemy. I am Apollo, son of Jupiter. I do not wish to harm you. I love you." But Daphne did not hear love. She heard footsteps behind her, breath growing closer, the rustling of branches, the snapping of twigs, her own heartbeat. Through woods, over streams, Daphne ran. Apollo, immortal and tireless, closed the distance. She prayed with every step. Her lungs burned, her legs weakened. The river glistened ahead. Apollo reached out so close he could feel the breeze of her hair. "Father," she cried out to Peneus, "change me. Take away this body they chase. Strip me of beauty if it will set me free." And the god answered. Her steps grew heavy, her skin tightened, bark enveloped her limbs, her toes became roots, her arms outstretched, branches, hair faded into leaves. Apollo embraced what he thought was her, but she was already gone. In her place stood a laurel tree, green and trembling. He touched the trunk as though it were still skin. "You cannot be my wife," he whispered, "but you will be my tree." He vowed that the laurel would forever be sacred. Wreaths of its leaves would crown the heads of poets, athletes, and heroes. And so it became. Laurel leaves adorned Delphi's oracles, whose trance-born wisdom was spoken in Apollo's name. In Roman culture, it stood as a powerful emblem of triumph. Beyond victory, it came to represent immortality, ritual purification, prosperity, and health. Its legacy endures not only in ceremonial traditions, but also in language, giving rise to terms like baccalaureate and poet laureate, and expressions such as to assume the laurel and resting on one's laurels. In the Pythian Games, held every 4 years at Delphi in Apollo's honor, victors received not gold, but garlands of laurel. Even today, the laurel wreath crowns scholars, Olympians, and champions. But beneath that victory lies sorrow. That crown is memory, a monument to a god's unrequited love and to a nymph's final defiance. In the 17th century, Gian Lorenzo Bernini took marble and transformed it into movement. His sculpture of Apollo and Daphne captures the exact instant she turns. You can see it, her fingers sprouting leaves, her face frozen in fear and resolve. Apollo, behind her, caught in the moment just before regret. What is love if it ignores refusal? Apollo did not intend to harm, but he did not stop. He mourned her, he honored her, but it was not enough. Daphne's metamorphosis was not escape, it was sacrifice. Yet in becoming the laurel, she ensured that every future triumph would bear her name. So the next time you see a laurel wreath, carved in stone atop a champion's head, remember who it really honors. Not a god's desire, not victory, but a woman who said no.